Are we on? All right. Welcome to What's Really Going On in America. We are actually on location on the candidate's home, running for school board for Parkland School District here in Allentown, PA. Patrick Foose. I think I said your name right?
Correct.
All right. So one thing, why are you running?
Thank you so much, Quinn. I'm running because when I previously served on the school board, I noticed that the school district in general and the school board itself really didn't have full representation for everybody in the community. What I mean by that is I felt that people whose kids had special needs weren't getting the services they required. I felt that when budget negotiations were being done, the elderly individuals that didn't have kids in the district, but like are single happily married adults, their concerns weren't being addressed either. I'm not saying that, absolutely no tax. What I am saying is we need to cut the wasteful spending to ensure that taxes don't have to go up every year. Last year, the board raised them 5%. This year, the proposal, I believe, is 4%. And I've never once voted to raise taxes in this district because I believe that Parkland has enough money in its rainy day account. And with the talented educational professionals we have, that we can make do with what we have and provide a great quality product, which is educating the children of Parkland.
All right. So as a school member, a board member, can you tell us what the position is for those who may be voting but not understanding what it entails?
Thank you. So to clarify what a school board director does, first of all, it's unpaid. School board directors don't get paid. They do get remission when it comes to the mileage to get to the different meetings they have to go to. Outside of that, school board director's job is quasi-legislative, judicial, and executive. It's executive in that when when the superintendent of schools decides to retire or leave the district, we have to go and appoint a new superintendent to lead the district forward. It's quasi-judicial because if a student comes to us that's up for expulsion, we have to hear the case. There was one time, as a matter of fact, as a sitting board member, when I was on the board, we had to hear both sides. We had to hear the district side, and we had to hear the students and parents side of the whole issue, and we had to determine what was in the best interest of the Parkland School District and for the community. It wasn't one side or the other. We had to balance those two. And then as far as legislative is concerned, it's a vital role because what we do is we set the policy and the framework for the direction in which we want the executive, which is the superintendent, to take. So if we set a policy, let's say here, that we will live within our means, budgetary-wise, for this next fiscal year, well, the superintendent would have to come to us with a budget that stays within the means. Or case in point, if we say, we want to see our athletes shine and our artists shine, and we want to make every effort that they can attend any and all competitions. The administration would basically be required to help find those competitions and whatnot and make sure our kids have the tools to be able to succeed in those competitions.
Okay, and the educational material that's in these schools, does the school board get to make any legislations with such things, or is that left to the Department of Education department?
So it's a mixture. So what people perceive as, the state standards, that comes from the state legislature and the Pennsylvania Department of Education. What we do on our end as a school board, we hire the superintendent, and we also look at the different textbooks to see which are the highest quality and provide the most rigor that our students are able to learn from. And then what we have to do, and what the superintendent does in turn with their cabinet, they look at the state standards set forth by the Pennsylvania Department of Education to determine whether or not the standards set forth by the state match the textbooks that the district is purchasing, as well as other educational tools to ensure that we're in compliance.
And so if the state decides that State Department of Education decides to have some nonsense material, is there any way the board could fight it, or would that be left to the people? What if the material you decide says this isn't going to help kids at all, like DEI stuff and critical race theory?
Well, I'll give you an example. There was a bill in the state legislature last year, I forget what bill number it is, but it suggested to not ban books, but to require that parents have to sign a form whether or not they're okay with their kids being able to have access to those books. So if that would have passed into state law, that would have been something that we would have had to promulgate that on our end as a school board. But there's other things we could do on the local level. And sometimes boards in the past in other districts have done it. I mean, and the reason they do that is to create a case that could go to the Supreme Court if need be. I mean, right here in Pennsylvania, for instance, we had an issue with regards to the Sunshine Act, and Jared Pullman, when he was on the board, sued the board over it, and his side won. And that just goes to show that, you know, there are times where even on the local level or the state level, there could be disagreements, and the only way to settle those disagreements is through a court of law.
All right, and one final question. So if people voted for you, what are some of the promises that you can make to them, and what are some, like, I know I know promises can be made as far as you can go. So I know you're going to be very careful with this question, which you should. But what promises can you make the people that you would fight for them?
Listen, when I first ran for school board back in 2019, my apologies, the board wasn't even streaming their meetings online for people to see. You had to quite literally, be in attendance at the meetings to know what was going on. That was one of the issues I brought up, because I'm like, listen, if I've got grad school or my grandmother that's in a nursing home wants to see what's going on in the district, she should be able to see it from the comfort of her own home. You should not have to go, it won. Now, all meetings are being streamed. I can't make promises with regards to when budget comes up that I can get the board to go my way, because obviously there's 9 different voices. What I could say though is, what I could promise is that I will be an advocate for those with special needs, because I have high functioning Asperger's and have always been an individual that has always advocated for those that felt like they didn't have a voice. So I'll advocate for that. I'll advocate for those in the community that don't have kids or that are elderly. When it comes to tax time with taxes, I will listen to what the community has to say. You know, there's been some concern that this administration is very, very top heavy. And that there's a lot of wasteful spending. And I brought it up at the last meeting, as a matter of fact. I voted against, one of my last votes on the board, I voted against funding carpeting for the administration center. Get this. The HVAC system at Springhouse Middle School is broken. It's broken. It doesn't work. And the school board with the administration determined to fund carpeting in the administration building for a room. Oh, and new chairs for a room that's used, once or twice a month, if that. And so when I sit in the audience and I listen to my successor and those on the board, preach that, they always have to, increase the cost because all of it directly goes to funding kids in the classroom. It doesn't. And so I think we need to be mindful that in general, money's being spent wisely. We have a good sized administration that isn't too top heavy, that we actually take notes and listen to what the community is saying rather than just sitting there and not really listening or giving any thought to what the community actually feels needs to be done. That's something that I promise, as if I would be reelected, that I'd want to see. I'd want to see debate. I'd want to see parents being able to have dialogue with their elected representatives, and furthermore, that the superintendent gives a damn to answer them at that meeting. And that's where I stand on this, and that's where I believe that the district needs to go. We need to embrace transparency, good governance, and accountability. We need to bring that back. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for coming on to the show, and we definitely hope you get there and you show how it's done. And we would like to welcome you on a full-hour podcast anytime. You just let me know.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right, peeps. I will see you later.